Welcome back, everyone. We're now with our question and answer session where you guys send in your questions every week. So, Brother Hamdani, we have a few questions from our viewers. And I guess the first question is our viewer asks about, Jannah or paradise. And apparently there are some views about it that it's not a pleasant place. Could you talk about paradise within Islam or the concept?
Sure. God's been very clear in the Quran, and the Prophet's been, peace be upon him, has been very clear in description that Jannah or paradise is exclusively pleasurable, that there's no pain, no harm that we'll ever feel there. It's something that we cannot imagine because we live in this world. In this world, we feel pain and sorrow and happiness kind of intermittently. So to imagine a world where there is no sorrow or no grief is hard for us. But that's what the promise of God's been. We behave ourselves, we act as good Muslims in this world, and we're going to be promised a place that's so hard for us to imagine, but it'll be a place of absolute pleasure.
So could you give us some examples from from the Quran and from the Hadith that talk about some of the pleasures of paradise?
Sure. I mean, one of the pleasures that they talk about is that we'll never feel thirst when we're there. So we'll never feel thirsty. We're always going to be satiated. The fruits and the vegetation that's there will be sweeter than anything we've ever tasted in this world. And so we're always surrounded by our loved ones. That there's no death in paradise. That death is one thing that gets eradicated. So you're constantly with those who you love. You're constantly in places where you feel good. There's no sorrow. There's no apprehensions of any kind. So it's something that we all should remember to reflect upon and to thrive and to strive for.
Okay, great. Well, I guess our next question is, it's about a sister. She's asking about women wearing a abaya, so it's the long black dress. She talks about that she herself doesn't wear it, but she wears very modestly. Now, in Islam, do you have to wear the long abaya, or what are the rulings and the boundaries?
Sure. No, I mean the Islamic understanding is that men and women must wear modest clothing. Now that's modest clothing. Now, how you manifest modest clothing could be wear a abaya or a thobe or a kurta or pants or a shirt, as long as they're loose. I wear a suit and tie 5 days a week, from Monday to Friday. As a lawyer, I wear a suit, and it drives me crazy. I'm more comfortable wearing what I'm wearing now. Do I think when I wear a suit that I'm contravening Islamic law? No, I don't, because it's loose, it covers what needs to be covered. So for the sisters, for the women that are listening, it is not compulsory that you have to wear a long unicolor abaya. The only thing that's asked of you, as what's asked of men, is that you wear modest clothing.
Okay, so would you say then, Islam has no religious dress that everybody has to wear as long as it's within, the modesty boundary?
Yeah, absolutely not. I mean, there's 1.5 billion Muslims around the world, which span more ethnic communities than any other religion. So what men and women wear in Indonesia is very different than what men and women would wear in San Francisco. I mean, so we can't have a uniform. We're not robots. Islam never intended for us to be robotic, to be homogeneous, to be just monolithic in the sense that we look the same, we talk the same, we act the same, we eat the same. That's absolutely not the case. Diversity is very good. Diversity in clothing is very creative. As long as the one thread that unites it all is that it be modest or loose-fitting so that people can't readily see your shape.
Okay, so I guess it really comes down to, Islam will kind of give you principles and then you can arrange your life around that, as opposed to, doing specific things.
Awesome, very well said. I should be switching here. That's a very well said. Yeah, you have certain fundamental principles, but that allow you a lot of flexibility in terms of practicing. I think one of the things that bothers me about some aspects of the Muslim community is that they want Islam to be too regimented. That you must look the same. Your beard must be a certain length. Your thobe must be this amount of shortness. That is not. I mean, we're not a monolithic robotic army. We're allowed to be creative. We should be creative. We've always been creative. We can't deny that.
All right, great. Okay, next question. One of our viewers asks about zina or fornication, and is it, a grave sin for someone who's married?
So let's just talk about that for a second. Islam actually embraces sex and sexuality. I mean, I know this is a PG-13 show, but within sexual relations between spouses is something that's considered a charity. It's something that's encouraged. We have no heartaches, no hang-ups. We're not like the Catholics who say, no, priests can't have sex, can't get married. Our imams, our scholars are encouraged to get married and to. However, things are permissible only in that marriage context. Once you're outside the marriage arena, having adulterous relationships is the same punishment in Islam as murder. That's how heavy it's seen. And unfortunately, the crime or the punishment, of murder is loss of life. The crime and punishment for adultery for a married man or woman is the loss of life. Now, from a legal perspective, you need to have a minimum of 4 witnesses to accuse someone of adultery. It's a very, very high standard because the punishment is very high. And so we need to be careful. So again, my point being, sex is good, it's natural, it's a gift from God, but it's within the arena of marriage. Outside of marriage, it is something that is absolutely forbidden, and there's grave punishment for that.
Great, thank you very much. Well, thanks for being on the show.
Thank you. I really enjoyed it.
You're welcome. All right, next up we have Hamza Moin, or also known as Maniac Muslim, with Art and Entertainment within Islam.